Ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to tonight's coverage of the Automobilista Australia Formula 1 Championship, live from Albert Park. I will be your host this evening. I am Jamie Snow, and should be an interesting evening. We've got so far about 10 runners. Hopefully we get a couple more join the server late. How are we all doing tonight? Feel free to say hello in chat. I will be keeping an eye on it throughout the duration of the race. So far, we have Mr. Andy Simpson leading the way in practice. He's set a 126.3 so far. He's just having a bit of a rest in the pits. We've got Oz Rob with a 126.4. We've got Wayne Whitmore. He's done a 126.7 so far. Steve Bolger, he's done a 127.7. We've got Luke Joyner with a 128.2. Ed Williams with a 121.9. Matt Williams, who I'm told is not related to Ed Williams, has done a 129.5. Brendan Ross, young Rossi's done a 129.6. Brock, who is currently facing the wrong way, has done a 129.7. And we've got Lewis on a 130.1, although he did leave the server and rejoin, so he has gone quicker than that this evening. Hey, cheers, Foley. Thanks for the birthday wishes. Oh, yeah, that's another one is I've kind of gotten myself stuck doing commentary on my birthday instead of being out drinking and having a good time. So I will be bringing you coverage of tonight's race while drinking and having a good time. So those of you in chat, have we got any predictions for tonight's race? Who are we going to see win? Are we going to have more than, well, we've only got 10 runners at the moment. Are we going to have more than 10 runners finish? So I've got about 10 minutes left in the practice session for this evening. So we're heading for the win and Scruff for the best skid. As long as Scruff finishes, then I definitely don't doubt that one. So just a few little bits and bobs for tonight's race. We are running pretty much the same as the rules that the real guys run. So it will be parc ferme as soon as you begin your first lap of qualifying. You will also have to start the race on the tyres that you qualify on. So that could bring in some interesting strategic choices. We also have compulsory use of 2 different compounds during the race. Judging by the little bit of practice that I was able to do, I think we'll see most people running the softs and the medium tyres. The hard tyres seem to be a little bit off the pace, but we'll have to wait and see what becomes of that one. Watching this from Bahrain while waiting for a flight. Had to park the 33 Red Bull today. That's a shame, but at least you're able to be here and watch it. Hopefully you'll enjoy the race. Hopefully my stream and my commentary doesn't bore you to sleep. There's a good chance of that happening, though, I imagine. As far as points goes, points will, again, as far as I'm aware, be the same as the real Formula 1. So, being that we've only got 10 runners tonight, provided everybody finishes, everybody will be in the points. So obviously 25 points for first, second will be 18 points, 15 points for third, and then all the way down to 1 point for 10th. Now, as far as the cars we're using at the moment, for anyone not involved with the group, we've actually got, well, the cars do look like the modern Formula One cars. You may have noticed that they sound a little bit different. So the sound as well as the physics has actually come from the Formula Razor mod. So we're not got the current physics. We've got the same physics as the old V8 Formula One cars, which, truth be told, is my favourite out of all of the Razor Formula One cars. But unfortunately, I would be out there racing myself, but I've got a shoulder that keeps trying to dislocate itself, so I am unable to race. Starting to feel like I should have started the stream a little bit later. We are running out of things to talk about here tonight, but we'll make it through. We'll find something to yabber on about. So just a few little other tidbits for tonight's race. We're running a 29 lap race, which will be about half race distance of what the actual Formula One runs. So that gives us a 154 kilometre race around our 16 turn 5.3 kilometre Albert Park circuit. I am hearing whispers that fuel consumption is going to be something to watch. I do believe that our drivers this evening will need to do some form of fuel saving to make it through the race. But the big talking point this evening is going to be tyres. I believe that the soft tyres, if you're running flat out, running qualifying laps, you're probably going to get about half a dozen or so laps out of them. So being able to stay out there as long as you can on the soft tyres, particularly if you are qualifying on them, is going to be the battle. Couple of interesting points about the Grand Prix at Albert Park here, by the way. We've actually never had an Australian finish on the podium here. We did have Danny Rick technically finish in second a few years back, but unfortunately he was disqualified. So we haven't actually had an Aussie on the podium. We have had the legendary Michael Schumacher win here 4 times, and he is the winningest driver at Albert Park since we started coming here in 1996 when we moved the Grand Prix over from Adelaide to the great city of Melbourne. Yeah, thanks Foley. I did see that one. I fixed that one up, thankfully. So it's going to be interesting to see how the times tumble once we do get to qualifying, because it's going to be a situation where you're not going to want to run too many laps in qualifying because you do need to conserve your tyres for the race. So, you're probably only going to want to have 1 or 2 shots at it before you are wanting to pull it in and save those tyres. It's also interesting to know whether, or would be interesting to know rather, whether the guys out there at the moment, as Wade Whitmore has a bit of a love tap with them all, it will be interesting to know how many of the guys out there are just doing race runs, practicing with full fuel, or if we do have a couple of guys out there doing some qualifying practice runs with low fuel. And also will be interesting to know where the time difference lies between a full tank and qualifying fuel. good to see that we've got a bit of a mix of cars out there tonight as well. We've got a few guys that have brought in their own custom liveries. We've also got a couple in the standard Formula 1 2018 liveries. A car to note is the FCR Motorsport entries. So you may notice that their cars sound a little bit different. I hear that the team in Namibia got sacked. They weren't able to produce a fast enough car, so they've moved the factory to Slovakia, and the engineers over there have managed to shoehorn a nice sounding V12 into those cars. Looks like we've had a couple of people leave the server and rejoin, assumingly to refresh their supply of tyres. Let's just jump back to the pits and make sure we can see everybody's cars properly. So 2 minutes to go in tonight's practice session, so it won't be too long until we get qualifying underway. That's really where things will start to really heat up and where the fun begins. It will be interesting to follow Mr. Harvey's progress this evening. He's a person that is definitely not one that's noted for his ability in an open wheel car. I do believe he hasn't done a huge amount of practice either, so it will be interesting to see how he goes. Judging by that moment there, he's not going to be going too well. Sorry, Brock, we all saw that one. So it looks like most guys have retired to the garage for the rest of the practice session. Bit of time to get hydrated and comfortable and ready for qualifying. Maybe some last minute alterations to the setups. So it looks like we've just got Lewis left out on the track at this point. As the clock ticks to 0 on the practice session, we're almost ready to get qualifying underway. And there we go. Practice is done. As Andy Simpson tops the sheet at the end of practice. So the start of our qualifying may be a little bit slow, like I said, due to the fact that you do need to start the race on the tyres you're qualifying on. So we might see a couple of guys head out early, but I'm more expecting most people to make a late run at it, potentially waiting for the track to grip up a little bit. As our first man out on the track is going to be Mr. Brendan Ross. And following him out is going to be Matt Williams. So we've got the Team FCR cars out on track. Wondering if there's going to be a little bit of bit of a drafting technique going on, much like Red Bull Motorsport or Red Bull Racing do themselves. We'll just have to wait and see. As those beautiful sounding V12s sing their way by us. So we'll come back to the FCR boys once we start to get a few timed laps in. We've also got Wayne Whitmore out on the track in the Mercedes. And I do believe we've got Steve Bolger out on the track as well. So if any of you are out there watching the race and also want to keep an eye on the timing and everything as well, you are able to make your way over to amsoz.liveraces.com and you will be able to actually keep an eye on the timing as well. We'll also show you all the times from practice and everything else, which Lewis Wedding tops the timesheets there with a 122.8. Be interesting to see if we get close to that in tonight's qualifying session. As we've got the first of our Ferraris out on track, we've got Ed Williams. Wayne Whitmore starts his first flying lap. Nice and tidy through turns 1 and 2 there. Little bit loose there into down into the Sports Centre car park. Now let's go on board with a little bit of a lap from Brendan Ross. So 126.9, not a bad first effort there from Rossi. It looks like Matt Williams has actually topped the timesheets for now with a 126.7. And Steve Bolger has actually gone up into first place for the moment with a 125.8, purple every sector. So the times are coming down thick and fast now. We've got Wayne Whitmore has just run a 127.4. It's Brock Harvey near the start of his first flying lap, a little bit wide there. Another talking point that we always tend to have to deal with here at Albert Park is track cuts. I don't see them being quite as bad in the Formula 1 cars as what we've seen in some of the other classes that we've run here, but definitely something to keep an eye on as well. As Luke Joyner goes up into 4th place with a 127.3. Got Ed Williams just leaving the pits, heading out for another run. As Brock crosses the line with a 129.2. A little bit off the pace compared to some of the quicker guys, but not a bad idea to just bank a lap early. Here's a man that a lot of people will be wanting us to keep a close eye on tonight, is Lewis Wedding. Lewis has always been quite good in these Formula cars, and has been topping the timesheets in all of our practice servers. So it will be interesting to see what sort of a lap he can put down. We've also got Oz Rob heading out for his first run. And Rob's been reasonably quick himself, and has been practicing quite hard as always, so he's another person to keep a bit of an eye on. So just to recap, as we hit the halfway point of our qualifying session, we've got Steve Bolger on provisional pole with a 125.6. We've got Rossi in second place with a 126.2. We've got Matt Williams in third with a 126.7. Then we go down through Luke Joyner, Wayne Whitmore, Brock Harvey, with Andy Simpson, Ed Williams, Oz Rob and Lewis Wedding yet to set a time. As Matt Williams goes to the top of the timesheets with a 125.3. Looks like Oz Rob has started his first time lap. We'll keep an eye on the sector time. So far the quickest first sector is looks to be Steve Bolger with a 28.1. So it's 28.7, so a little bit down in the first sector for Rob. As he runs wide through the turn 9 and 10 chicane. So he'll head around and have another go. We've got Lewis Wedding coming to the line on his first flying lap with a 125.9. So he's just 0.6 of a second off of the pace. .2 in the first sector there on Lewis's second lap, so this one looking like it might be a bit closer. And he is green in his second sector. He's actually just done a purple second sector, so definitely a good flying lap here for Lewis. Nice clean exit there out of 15. What sort of a time are we going to see here from Mr. Wedding? And a 125.0, that's got Lewis Wedding on pole position currently with 5 minutes to go in the session. Great lap there from Lewis. as Steve Bolger starts another flying lap. Got Oz Rob out on another run. Looking like he's setting PB sectors at the moment, but not quite on the pace with the leaders. As he comes around the final corner, looks to get a decent exit. What sort of time will we have here? And we have a 125.3, which is good enough for 5th place at the moment. So we've got Lewis out on another run, looking to see if he can improve. Let's go on board for a lap with Lewis Wedding in the beautiful, beautiful Ferrari. Like he's almost flat round 5, nice and laid under the brakes into 6, and then flat through 7 and 8. And then big braking into what will probably be an overtaking zone coming into 9 and 10 as well. Then flat round through the super fast back straight. Then we've got nice and quick through the super fast chicane. Smooth application on the throttle coming out of 13. Little lift for 14 and then hard on the brakes for the second last corner, turn 15. Really important to get a good exit out of here. Keep it nice and tight through the last corner and then smash that DRS button. See what sort of a lap time you've ended up with. Lewis has dropped down into the 24s with a 124.96 as we have a minute and a half left in the session. Basically, we're out of time for another run for anyone still stuck in the garage. So we've got Rossi on a bit of a flyer. He's set himself a PB first sector with a 28.1. Little bit late on the brakes coming into 9. That looks like he's gotten away with that one. Just off of the pace at the end of the second sector. This is off an absolute ripper of a lap from young Rossi. As it looks like I've missed Oz Rob jumping up in the second place with a 125.0. Can Rossi find his way back up into the front row? Brilliant lap there from Rossi with a 124.8. He's put himself into pole position. And there's no chance that Lewis or Rob can get back out to have another go at topping him. So at this stage, unless Andy Simpson can pull out an absolutely magic lap, we're going to have Brendan Ross on pole position. And Andy is on an absolute flyer. He's gone 4/10 faster in the first sector. definitely coming down to the wire here. The time has reached 0. We are down to the last lap. And another half, he's down half a second on Rossi's time at the moment. Careful not to go too wide there through the fast chicane, Andy. Can he do it? Oh, and he's gotten sideways coming out of turn 13. Has that messed him up? Has that messed him up enough to take him off of pole? Big lockup coming into 15. Has he messed it up? Has he bottled it? As he comes on over the line with a 124.2. That is an absolute ripper of a lap from Andy Simpson. We also have Luke Joyner just finishing off his lap. He's down in 8th place with a 126.3. No improvement on that lap for him. And so it would appear that our qualifying session is over. So we have Andy Simpson on pole with a 124.2. Brendan Ross in 2nd place with a 124.8. And then Lewis Wedding on with a 124.9 in 3rd position. So a couple of little surprises there. I would imagine that a few people had Lewis Wedding pinned for a pole position there, but Rossi with an absolute blinder of a lap to put himself up into the front row. So as we go into our warm-up, we'll use this opportunity. The drivers are just going to go into I will assume the drivers will be going into a quick drivers briefing. So I'm going to take that as a chance to go and hydrate, and we'll be back with you shortly. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our round one coverage of the Automobilista Australia Formula One Championship. So, as we count down the timer for warm up and we wait for a bit of action in our race, I'm joined by our gracious leader, Mr. Matt Williams. Scruff,
Snow.
how you doing?
I got a fair bit of a wedgie going on here.
That's never ideal. Is that why you're so slow in qualifying?
Mate,
I kid.
this is hurtful.
How's
I got
it
provisional
feeling?
pole for half of it on fucking mediums. Oh shit, already. Oh, cut me off.
Uh,
Edit that out.
oh shit! I said fuck. Oh fuck! I said shit. I mean what?
No, that's right. You're not ARW, are you?
That's right. We're not quite as professional here. We don't have the fancy graphics and the lack of swearing. How's the track feeling? How's the car feeling?
Brilliant. Times two.
Brilliant times two. The engineers in Slovenia or Slovakia was it? I can't remember.
The Slovenia. I was gonna jump in during practice and yell at you for getting that wrong.
I do apologise. Those weird European
And we
countries
still
are
got
all
a
the same to
factory in
me.
Namibia too. We just moved F1 to Europe.
Oh right, I got the story wrong there as well. I thought we fired the Namibians.
Nah, too cheap.
That is true. And with the job that they've done on our GT3 cars, you really can't fault them, can you?
Oh, especially the painter. Oh,
Exactly.
my boy. How's commentating by yourself?
It's not too bad. I struggled for things to talk about a little bit with only 10 cars on the track, but when you got Brock trying to turn his Formula One car into a rallycross machine, it makes things a little bit easier.
He had a good start in the me and the you.
So how are you feeling with your prospects for the race? Is a win possible? Is a podium possible? We definitely know the car's fast with young Rossi putting it up on the front row.
If the strategy works how I hope it will, then we should be going for the top 2 or 3.
Have we got the Namibians or the Slovenians looking after strategy for us?
Oh, you keep all of them away from that. we got a man in a porta potty in Brunswick taking care of that.
With the amount that you call me a hipster, I'm surprised you're not saying it's me.
No, see, the one we've gone, he's a proper criminal. He's used to running away from the cops. Strategy.
That is true.
Gotta stop making these.
If we weren't live on Twitch, I'd say that could also be me, but I won't say that.
If you're looking for drugs, contact Mr. Snow.
I do live in St Kilda, Amelia Stone's throw from the Albert Park circuit, so I'm definitely in the right place.
Yes, and you'll be.
However, this is a family-friendly broadcast. We can't be talking about drugs.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to move the topic onto having sexual relations with prostitutes. Cheap ones at that.
Very cheap around here.
Daytime hookers, mate. I've gone and interrupted myself laughing at my own stupid comments.
Yeah, when you go for a walk at 10 o'clock in the morning and you have a rather haggard woman yelling at you from across the street asking if you're looking for a girl, you know it's a quality area.
Freaking, at least that you don't have to worry about the teeth.
This is true.
Jesus Christ, if you live in glass houses.
As for the first time this weekend, we've actually got Brock Harvey topping the timesheets. Admittedly, he is the only one to have posted a time, but we won't hold that against him.
He's just won the race there. Oh shit, I gotta go. Have fun.
I will. Good luck for the race, Scruff. Thanks for coming to chat with us.
I got your back, buddy. And just to everyone watching at home, mute it.
I was expecting something rather more vulgar there from Mr. Matt Williams. So we're about 30 seconds away from the end of our warm-up session. Looks like everybody is just chilling in the garage, having a quick bathroom break, making sure everything is in order, making sure they're all fueled up for the start of the race. It's a little bit of a shame that we've only got 10 runners this evening. It would be nice for us to get a few more numbers up in the Formula One, as the Formula One series we ran last year did unfortunately end up going to the shops and not coming back, unlike my father. So yeah, if we could, if anyone out there listening is interested in having a go, then head over to the Automobilista Australia Facebook page, get yourself signed up, and come and join in the fun. As we are mere moments from the start of our race. So if we just click the eye here, we can have a bit of a look at our rules for tonight's race. As you can see, 2 times fuel and tyres and 29 laps race distance. So that's going to make our strategies fairly similar to the real thing. Now, as everybody groups up, let's just have a quick run through our starting order for this evening. So we do have Mr. Andy Simpson starting on pole. We've got Brendan Ross in the brilliant, beautiful, miraculously engineered FCR Motorsport McLaren. We have Lewis Wedding starting from 3rd in the Ferrari. We've got Oz Rob in the Silk Cut Racing entry in 4th. With Ed Williams in the other Ferrari, starting from 5th place as the cars just set off for their warm-up lap. Matt Williams starting in 6th place. Now, Matt's normally quite a strong starter, so starting back in the mid-pack shouldn't phase him too much. We've got Steve Bolger starting in 7th in the Alfa Romeo Sauber. We've got Luke Joyner, who hasn't actually joined the grid, going against his name there a little bit, in 8th place. We've got Wayne Whitmore in the Mercedes down in 9th, and bringing up the rear is Brock Harvey in the Williams Martini Racing entry. So as we head out, we've actually got Andy Simpson, who hasn't joined the grid. That's going to mean that he is going to have to start from pit lane, unfortunately. So absolute disaster there. Not sure if that was just a mistake or if he didn't get to the grid in time. But to be on pole position and then have to start from the pits, that's definitely not ideal. As we've got our cars heading around, getting a little bit of heat into the tyres, into the brakes. Do want to be careful not going too hard at warming up the tyres, however, because as mentioned previously, we do actually have to start on the tyres that we've qualified on. So it does appear that everyone's taking it a little bit easy. So just looking at the tyres we've got on the cars as well. So for those of you playing at home, our different compounds obviously have a different colour sidewall. The hard tyres have the white sidewall, which we actually have Lewis starting on the hard tyre, which surprises me. I wasn't sure that anyone would use that at all. We've got Rossi starting on the softs. Andy Simpson looks like he's going to be starting on the mediums from pit lane. We've got Rob, looks like he's starting on the mediums. Ed Williams on the mediums as well. Scruff's on the mediums. Mr. Bolger's on the mediums, and it looks like everybody else will be on the softs. As we get ready to start our race, just waiting for everyone to get gridded up correctly. There we go, just looks like we're waiting on Rob to slide into place correctly. And here we go, the lights are red. 4 lights, 5 lights, and away we go. A good start there from Matt Williams. Great start from Ed Williams. As we all head into turn 1, looks like we've all gotten through fairly cleanly. We've got Rossi out to an early lead. Great start there from Rossi. Got a good run there from turn 1. As we've got a bit of a move going there, we've got Ed Williams looking up the inside of Oz Rob. kept it nice and clean. As Ed Williams runs wide, he's got grass on the tyres now. He's going to have to be careful there under the braking, and he loses a couple of positions there. Lewis Wedding down in 5th place, looking at getting past his teammate fairly quickly so he can start moving his way up the grid. And it looks like we've quite quickly all settled out into single file. Really fast break there from Rossi. He's got himself a nice little lead there over AMSOz at the tail end of the first lap. As Andy Simpson brings up the rear, having had to have started from pit lane. Looks like Luke Joyner didn't actually end up joining the race. Little bit of a battle here for 5th and 6th place as Matt Williams just defends there from the Sauber of Mr. Bolger. And otherwise, a nice clean first lap. We definitely don't want a repeat of last season's Albert Park round of the Formula 1 Grand Prix where we only ended up with 2 finishes. Now this first stint's going to be interesting with so many people running different tyre compounds. It will be very, very interesting to see how long these soft tyres can last, how much faster the soft tyres are and how quickly they fall off, and whether the gamble on the hard tyres is going to pay off for Lewis Wedding. Looks like it's going okay so far. He's in 4th position. A little bit of a battle here, heating up for 7th and 8th place. We've got Mr. Harvey hunting down Whitmore. As Whitmore goes off, he's spun! He's managed to keep it out of the wall, but that has dropped him down to 8th place. And that battle was over as quickly as it began, as Brock Harvey's slowly moving his way up the field, although manages to run himself wide there. Looks like it's closing up a little bit at the front as we do have a new leader. We have had Oz Rob just overtake Brendan Ross for the lead. Unfortunately, we missed that as we were watching the battles further back in the pack. And we do have Ed Williams absolutely hunting down Rossi here as Rossi goes defensive coming down into the car park section. Is it a case of just an absolute bottler of a qualifying lap for Rossi, or are those soft tyres beginning to fall off already? Great little battle starting to heat up here for the podium positions as we just check out what's happening a little bit further down the field. Lewis is keeping himself nice and steady there in 4th place. We've got Matt Williams hoping to chase him down from 5th. We've got Steve Bolger down in 6th place, a little bit lonely at the moment, out on his own, just running his own race. We've got Brock down in 7th. Wayne, who's now missing a front wing, is having an absolute nightmare of a race this evening. And Andy Simpson looking to chase him down. It will appear that Whitmore will have to pit for a new front wing. As we've got our battle for the lead starting to heat up a little bit here as Rossi gets a little bit sideways coming out of 15. Will that hurt him enough for Ed Williams to get a bit run on him down the main straight? He does have DRS. Not quite close enough for him to have a look there just yet, but he will be looking for mistakes from Rossi to look to work his way up in a second. It does appear that these top 3 are dropping Lewis Wedding just a little bit, but with that said, Lewis will be able to stay out much longer on those hard compound tyres. As we've got Scruff getting a little bit sideways, bit of a manly slide there from Scruff. He'll be wanting to try and keep those under control, unless he'll have Mr. Bolger right under his exhaust, under his gearbox. Brock Harvey out there alone, just doing his thing. And Andy Simpson is up into 8th place as Wayne Whitmore pits for a new front wing. Very, very tight here for second and third place at the moment. Ed Williams is absolutely piling on the pressure here to young Rossi. Although Rossi's no stranger to some close racing. He's done his time in the Rookie Cup. And Rob spins! Rob spins! He's in the wall. He's clearly done some damage to the car there, all the way down to 6th place. Nightmare for Rob. We'll keep an eye on Rob to see if he does have to pit for damage. No, he stays out, so this damage doesn't look to be too bad. Which gives us Rossi, who's done himself a Bradbury, and he's got himself back into the lead again. And we do have a safety car out. I think it must have been the spin from Rob that has brought that one out. So, as we have a little bit of a break in the action, let's just recap on where we're all standing at the moment. So we've got Brennan Ross in first place. I will imagine that he'll be looking to pit under this safety car at some point to get some fresh rubber underneath that beautiful FCR Motorsport McLaren. We've got Ed Williams in second place. Due to the spin, Lewis Wedding has worked his way up into third. We've got Matt Williams up into fourth. Steve Bolger into 5th place in the Alfa Romeo Sauber. Rob down into 6th place after his spin. Again, it will be interesting to keep a close eye on Rob to see how his car's looking and feeling, as we've got a penalty for Brock Harvey. We'll see if we can find out what that one was for. Potentially, I would imagine that the pits were not actually open and he's gone and got himself some new rubber. So we'll see if we can get word from the stewards on the reason for the penalty, but I am assuming that's what it will be for. Doing the big man's work, Snowballs. Thanks, mate. It's not as easy as I thought it would be doing the commentary solo, but it does allow me to yell and carry on when things happen without having to yell over somebody else, which is definitely nice. So as we follow the safety car around at what must feel like an absolute crawl for the guys out there on track, we'll bring the discussion back again to strategy, because again, like we mentioned, as you can see there, the yellow sidewall tyres on Rossi's McLaren as Rossi peels off into the pits, as does Matt Williams. So we've got both FCR McLaren in the pits, and we also have what appears to be no, we don't. We have Andy Simpson coming into the pits as well. So interesting move there from Andy. I'm wondering if he's looking to get those medium tyres off and get some softs on to try and make back some of the ground he's lost. And as you can see there, he has actually changed over to the yellow ball tyres. So we've got Matt Williams out onto the mediums. And Rossi has come out on the mediums as well. So probably not a bad idea to get into the pits there nice and early. It does lose you a bit of track position, but fresh rubber is never a bad thing, especially around Oval Park, which can be quite a slippery track, being that we are a street circuit here. So after the reshuffle, due to the pit stops, we've actually got Ed Williams, who's inherited the lead, closely followed by Lewis Wedding, who again on those hard tyres, he'll be able to stay out for quite a long time. I would imagine that he would actually be pitting quite late into the race for a pair of softs. We've got Steve Bolger up into 3rd place, Rob into 4th, who interestingly, after his spin, has actually chosen not to take the pits. I would have thought that he'd jump in the pits and cure any damage that he might have incurred in that collision with the wall. we've got Wayne Whitmore in 5th place, who now for Wayne Whitmore having to have pitted for a new wing earlier on, this safety car is a bit of a godsend for him as well. He lost a lot of track position during that pit stop, so to be back up onto the exhaust of Oz Rob is he'll be definitely very thankful for that. We've got Brock Harvey, the last of our runners who didn't pit during the safety car period. Rossi, Matt Williams and Andy Simpson bringing up the rear, although I would imagine that he won't be there for too long with his pace in qualifying. New to sim racing, you're doing a great job, Snowballs. Thanks, mate. I'm definitely not as experienced as some of the ARW guys at this commentary gig, but it's a bit of fun, and it means that I can stay involved while I'm sitting here injured with a shoulder that tries to dislocate on me every time I try and catch a slide. So hopefully I can get that fixed up before too long and be back in the mix. But if not, we'll keep commentating. As we get back to green, Ed Williams has gotten himself a drive-through penalty from the lead. That's an absolute disaster there for Ed. I'm wondering if that's for going too early on the green. We'll have to wait and see again. We'll see if we can maybe find out in the post-race interviews what has happened to him there. He has stretched out a pretty quick lead, however, and he's got his teammate behind him, so potentially we'll have Lewis holding up the other guys for a little bit to help him get away and give him time to serve that penalty. As everyone kind of settles back into place. Again, we'll have a few guys looking forward to working their way back up the grid. As we've got Lewis under attack from Steve Bolger. Lewis manages to hold him off. As we keep getting drive-through penalty blinking up for Ed Williams, I'm hoping that's just a reminder, not further drive-throughs. As Lewis is off. He's tapped the wall and he's lost about 4 or 5 places there. Very, very unfortunate for Lewis, who's now in the clutches of Brendan Ross, who has a look up the inside, coming down into the back section of the track. Now, is Ed Williams going to peel straight off and do his penalty? It doesn't look like it. Looks like he's going to try and stretch out a bit of a lead before he goes into the pits. As Steve Bolger has inherited 2nd place after Lewis's little mishap there, and Oz Rob back up into 3rd after his little bit of a crash. So apparently Brock has served his penalty, and Ed didn't actually hold speed until after the start-finish line, so he has gotten a penalty for going too early. As Steve Bolger is under massive pressure from Oz Rob, and we've got an absolute, I don't even know what to say about that. We've got about 4 or 5 cars off of the track. Unfortunately, we were too busy gas bagging about Oz Rob at the time, so we're not sure exactly what happened. As Brock's back in the pit serving his penalty now. It will be interesting to see if we can find out a bit more about some of these incidences. Apparently I cannot grammar this evening. It will be interesting to find out about some of these incidents, maybe in the post-race interviews, see what we've missed. Oh, and Bolger has absolutely binned it! That car is destroyed. He's lost his front wing. It'll be interesting to see if he can keep going as somebody else cleans his rear wing up. And once again, it's that fast chicane at turns 11 and 12 that has caught somebody out. We've got Andy Simpson right on the back of Matt Williams here. And we've got Rossi right on the back of Wayne Whitmore, who's managed to find himself up into 3rd place, but Rossi has anything to do with it, he's not going to be there for long. As it looks like Rossi's got the run, he's got the inside line, easy move. And we've got the two Williamses, Scruff and Ed Williams, having a bit of a battle here. And we've got Andy Simpson trying to get his way through the pack as well. He's desperate to find a way through, but he's not going to find a way on the outside there as Scruff goes around. Scruff is around. He'll be devastated as he throws a quick little flick turn to get himself back around the right way. been nothing but non-stop action since we restarted after the safety car period. We've had accidents, we've had spins, we've had penalties. The order is all over the place as we've got Steve Bollinger in the pits just getting his car fixed up. A new car park, yeah. Definitely looks like it. Now, will we see Ed Williams serve his penalty? He has stretched out a 5-second lead over Oz Rob, but he does have that penalty hanging over his head. As we've got Oz Rob there in second place, trying to chase him down. Definitely looks like Williams has got the pace on him, but as Williams completes another lap without serving his penalty, he's going to have to be careful here, because if he doesn't serve it this lap, we may find him being disqualified. So definitely something else to keep an eye on. This looks like we've got the field spreading out a little bit now after everyone trying to run each other off of the track. So we'll keep a bit of an eye on. Let's go on board with Ed Williams. So he definitely does still have a. Oh, we've got the full course. Oh no, sorry, that's just the game being a bit weird on us with the display. So yeah, we definitely still have a penalty there to be served for Ed Williams. So he, as far as I'm aware, he will have to serve that penalty this lap, or he will incur the wrath of the stewards for not serving his penalty. So how are we enjoying the race so far, guys, in chat? Do we expect this much carnage? Do we expect to still have this many cars running at this point? We are about a third of the way through the race, and we've only lost Luke Joyner, who actually didn't end up starting the race. So as Ed Williams peels in to serve his penalty. And that's going to inherit the lead to Oz Rob. And we'll have Brendan Ross move up into second place. Now, it'll be interesting to see just how far back Ed peels back into the running. Although, with that said, track position doesn't seem to mean too much so far this way. Happy that the damage is turned down to keep the racing going. Yeah, I definitely agree. These cars, while they are a bit easier using the Formula Razor physics, they are a little bit easier to drive than the Formula Ultimates or the F197 mod that we ran last year, as Ed has a massive slide. We're going to have to start playing some Tokyo Drift music. He keeps that up. Yeah, as much as we are using the Formula Razor physics, they are still a challenge to drive. You know, these are very, very fast cars. And Albert Park, while being a relatively flowing track, you know, we are up around 60-65% full throttle around this track. As we've got Wayne Whitmore just having a big lock up and facing the wrong way. Appears that he hasn't quite mastered the art of the flick turn yet as well. Yeah, they are a difficult car to drive, especially when you're trying to push at 10 tenths for a 29 lap race. So yeah, for us to have the damage on 50%, it means guys can make a bit of a mistake and, you know, maybe get into each other or get into the wall a little bit without just ending their race. So we'll just keep an eye on the battle for first and second here, as it seems to be the closest battle on the track at the moment. As Rossi, he's had the 8 of DRS, he's down the inside. Brilliant move under brakes there from Rossi. Textbook pass there from the young lad. As Rob looks to see if he can make a bit of a move back, but he's just a little bit too far behind at the moment. Now in third place we've got Andy Simpson, who, as noted before, he did start from the pits. He's managed to work his way up to third place with a little bit of help from everyone else, you have to admit. Now we've also got a bit of a battle happening for 5th and 6th place. We've got Lewis hunting down Matt Williams. Now Matt, as we saw before, he did have a little bit of spin. I'm not sure if he was helped or not, but his tyres may be feeling the effects of that a little bit. So we'll keep an eye on this battle as much as we can as well, as it appears that the top three are just starting to spread out a bit. I've got to say, I'm very, very impressed with young Brendan Ross. He's shown really good pace. He's made some good overtakes. As Andy Simpson absolutely sends it in on Oz Rob. Danny Rick would be proud of that one. Putting Oz Rob down into third place. Big lock up though from Andy Simpson. So Wheelie's tyres feel the ill effects of that one. I'd imagine he's got a little bit of a steering vibration now. It does appear that Oz Rob's tyres are starting to go off a little bit as well, as he's starting to slide around a little bit. Now, if we have a look at Andy Simpson's front tyres there, you can definitely see that there's a little bit of a flat spot. So it will be interesting to watch his progress. As once again, the field starts to spread out a little bit. Everything's calming down. I can take a breath. I'm 32 years old today, so I can't get too excited. I'm getting old. I may have a heart attack. So it's good that the guys are giving me a little bit of a chance to chill, to breathe. As Rossi has definitely made the most of the two battling behind him. He's stretched his lead out now to 1.3 seconds over Andy Simpson. Can Andy Simpson chase him down though? We'll definitely keep a close eye on that. Trooper Mike says anyone's race from the top 5, you'd have to say. Long way to go. Yeah, I definitely agree. With the amount of carnage we've had so far, I definitely think that it's still anybody's game. Judging by last season where we had 2 finishes, we could still see a win from Brock Harvey at this point. You never know. Now, Andy Simpson has caught right back up to the gearbox of Brendan Ross, so did he get the exit? He's got the help of the DRS. Did he get a good enough exit? Rossi goes defensive. Andy follows him. Andy ends up on the inside line, but he's just too far back to make a move on that one. I think Andy realising that we're only about halfway through the race at this point, so no need to make big messy moves. And although he's just dived down the inside coming into turn 3, beautiful place to pass. He got a good exit off of turn 1. Now can Rossi hold on to him? I'm just going to see. Unfortunately, my live timing here doesn't actually tell me when the cars have pitted. It just tells me how many people have pitted. Although it does seem to be incorrect, as live timing is saying that Matt Williams is the only one to have pitted. So I'm not quite sure that is correct. So we'll just check out what's happening on it down the field. Once again, everybody's spread out a little bit. We've got Oz Rob down in 7th place. Brock Harvey down in 8th. Now, as I've mentioned before, Brock isn't the most confident in open wheelers, and he's a very, very busy man, so he doesn't get a huge amount of time to practice either. But, he's in 8th place. He's up in front of Steve Bolger at the moment. He'll be looking to just keep his nose clean, keep it on the track, and maybe hope for a couple of DNFs in front of him to move a bit further up the points. That said, it is definitely well worth, even if you're not confident that you've got the pace at the moment, with only 9 people running, it's definitely well worth it to just, chill out as Rossi gets a huge slide up, as he's actually in 1st place again. So I think we must have had Andy Simpson in the pits. He has. He's now moved on to the hard compound tyre. Big slide there from Rossi. It's probably at the stage where his tyres will be starting to work themselves a little bit hot, a little bit worn out. But Scruff up into 2nd place, he'll definitely be happy with that one, especially after his mishaps. And we've had Lewis Wedding in the pits as well. He's out there on the yellow soft compound tyres. Be interesting to see if he needs to stop again. I would imagine so. I'd imagine his strategy would be hard, soft, soft as far as the tyre compounds go. Keeping in mind, you do need to use 2 different compounds within the race. So doesn't look like Lewis is a huge fan of the mediums. He's going to hedge his bets on the soft tyres. So we've got Wayne Whitmore out there on the hard tyres as well. as Steve Bolger is now into the pits. There's a big lock-up coming into pit lane. Hopefully he hasn't left it too late and hasn't ended up with a speeding violation in pit lane. Let's just keep an eye on Steve and find out what tyres he's going to be putting on. It appears that he's actually just gone for another set of the soft compound tyre. As we've just had a fastest lap of the race set by Ed Williams in 5th place. A 1:27.6. So we're getting to that stage of the race where the fuel's starting to burn off, and if you've got a reasonably fresh set of the soft tyres on, you will start to be able to make some progress. But I did mention in our practice session that fuel use is going to be something that we need to keep an eye on. As as far as I know, the cars will get 29 to 30 laps out of a tank, but if you are pushing for a good portion of the race, you do tend to burn through your fuel fairly quickly. So whether we see people doing some actual fuel saving or just trying to keep nice and consistent, we will have to keep an eye on. We also have Lewis Wedding on a bit of a flyer at the moment as well. He's set 2 purple sectors so far, so definitely looking to make up some time now that he's got the softer, faster tyres on. And Lewis has just set the fastest lap of the race now with a 1:26.6. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if towards the end of the race we actually start to see lap times even potentially faster than qualifying, as the rubber beds into the track and track usage goes up and the fuel loads burn off of the cars. If we've got anyone with some fresh tyres in the last 5 or 6 laps, that's when we're really going to see some fast lap times come down. As we scroll down through the field, we've got Brock Harvey actually lapping Steve Bolger there. So I'm not quite sure what's happening with Steve, as he's just pulled over to the track. It looks like we have our first retirement of this evening, unfortunately. So not quite sure what's happened to him, but unfortunately for Steve, he is out of the race. As we check in with our leaders, we've got Brendan Ross with an 8.5 second lead over Matt Williams. Definitely great to see my colleagues in FCR Motorsport running 1-2 at the moment. I will definitely hope to see them hold on to those positions, but we'll have to wait and see how that goes. The initial plan was actually for myself to be in the second FCR Motorsport car with Matt Williams, but again, unfortunately, due to a shoulder injury, I'm unable to race. So we've moved young Rossi up into the main team, and definitely seems to be a move that's paying off at the moment. He's extending the lead further and further as we go. He's shown great pace. He's qualified on the front row. Definitely very, very impressed with Brendan Ross. And we've got Andy Simpson in 3rd place. Again, he's on those hard tyres, so it will be interesting to see what sort of strategy he's on from here, if he's hoping to make the end of the race, or if he will need to stop again. If he is able to actually make the end of the race, then you would think that he's got himself in a prime position to inherit the lead once the FCR Motorsport cars do come in, as he gets a nice big slide coming there out of the fast chicane. We've got Lewis Wedding in 4th place, who's starting to set the timesheets alight now that he's got the softer tyres on. He'll be looking to improve and make up some ground that he lost earlier on. We've got Ed Williams in 5th place. Again, he's on the soft tyres, so he's trying to make hay while the sun shines, while he's got a nice amount of grip. We've got Short Ass 11, who's just said Rossi's come a long way in the last 12 months. I definitely agree. I actually remember commentating on Rossi in the Rookie Cup about midway through last year. And you know, while he was always you know, pretty close to being on pace, it was his skill as an actual racer that that definitely needed to see some improvement. You know, he would make mistakes, you know, and you know, sometimes the pressure would get to him when he's leading, but that doesn't seem to be the case tonight. While he has lost a little bit of time to Matt Williams, he's still got a nice, healthy 8-second lead over him at this stage, as that beautiful V12 from the factory in Slovenia sings past us. We've got Matt Williams, who will be happy to be running up the front as well. Matt's somebody who, on his day, has definitely got the pace, and you put him in traffic, and he is a really good racer as far as, you know, defending and overtaking and everything like that. But unfortunately for him, he just hasn't always had the luck, you know, whether that be, you know, mishaps or, you know, maybe even having a slow run in qualifying and getting stuck amongst the great unwashed in the mid-pack. So to be up in second place, he'll be enjoying that one. Andy Simpson's someone who has definitely had a lot of success in our V8 Supercar series. Good to see him doing well here in our open wheelers, especially ones as fast as the Formula 1 cars. Definitely working on hunting down Mr. Williams there and trying to get himself back up into the front. Now Lewis Wedding is doing the same to Andy Simpson. He's hunting him down. Lewis is always one to beat in any series we run. Something I used to say to my teammates in GT3 is basically, especially during Lewis's internet troubles, it was basically if Lewis finished, he was going to win, so I was going for second. There's a little bit further down the order here, but we'll have to see how his strategy plays out. And again, with him on those soft tyres now, he's hunting down Andy Simpson. We just have to watch to see if he needs to stop again. As our battle for the top three is actually really heating up here. We're probably at the point now, as you can see by that lockup, that the medium tyres on the FCR McLaren are starting to go off a little bit. As we're very, very tight there. A couple of little lockups as Matt dives into the pits to get some new tyres, as I guess. And we've got Rossi in from the lead to get some new rubber under the McLaren as well. So looks like the two FCR Motorsport cars are running a match strategy at this point, as Matt almost overshoots his pit box there. Nice quick pit stop from the Slovenian pit crew. So down into fourth and fifth for the two. Fourth and sixth, sorry, for the McLaren cars. Oz Rob manages to split the two, get himself up into fifth place. Now elsewhere on the track, we've actually got Lewis Wedding up into the lead. I apologise, guys. I have missed that one as well, paying too much attention to my teammates. I've made that mistake too much in the past. And we've got Lewis Wedding out into the lead. Now, again, we need to talk strategy, because if Lewis needs to pit again, which I imagine is probably the case, then Andy Simpson is going to inherit the lead unless he makes a mistake. However, Lewis is somebody that has always been known for stretching tyres and stretching fuel. So if anyone is able to do the one-stop race and stretch these soft tyres to the end, it is going to be Lewis. So we'll watch this battle quite closely. So we'll just have a quick flick through the order. Again, we've got Steve Folger, who unfortunately retired at lap 15. We've got Wayne Whitmore, who's had a bit of a quiet race, down in 8th place. Brock's up in 7th. Again, just trying to keep his nose clean, net himself some points. Finishing in 7th actually nets you 6 points. So I think that's about the best we're going to see all year from a Williams. Speaking of Williams, we've got Matt Williams chasing down Oz Rob in 6th place. Matt's got those nice, fresh, soft compound tyres on, so he'll be looking to make up some ground and maybe try and get himself up towards the podium. He is only 8 seconds behind Ed Williams, so not an unachievable gap to pull back. Oz Rob trying to keep that V12 McLaren behind him. Definitely appears that Matt's got the measure of him at the moment, though, especially with Rob being on those hard compound tyres. Lost time for a pit stop. I'm not too sure. It should only be a couple of seconds in the pit, so it's probably about 19 to 20 seconds, I would say, roughly. Haven't actually checked that one out properly, though, myself. As Matt is right on the gearbox of Oz Rob. Definitely the closest battle on track right now. Looking to get himself a nice good run. Will Oz Rob go defensive coming down into turn 13? He has, but that'll get him a horrible run coming out through 14. As Matt Williams is side by side. Can they see? Oh, beautiful move there from Matt Williams up the inside. Covers him nicely coming through 15, and will get the run coming out of the final corner and leave Oz Rob behind. Absolutely brilliant passing move there from Matt. Not one who's a stranger to wheel action. He'll be happy with me that I managed to get that pass on the broadcast as well. So we'll just have a bit of a look through the rest of the field. We've got Brendan Ross on the back of Ed Williams at the moment. Brendan did have a nice recent pit stop as Ed Williams. Oh, I thought he'd actually had a bit of disconnection there, but looks to be that he's okay. Actually, Ed Williams is down in 6th place, and he's spun. It was actually a lap down at that point. I'm not sure what's happened to him there, but again, that's something we'll have to investigate later in the race. Unfortunately, that's something that we have missed out on. So now we have Lewis Wedding up in 3rd. Now, Lewis was in the lead before. I'm assuming he did end up having to stop for some fresh tyres, and the gap that we've ended up with would signify that as well, which gives us Rossi up into 2nd place. Again, not too sure if Rossi's going to have to pit again. We will wait with bated breath to see what's going on there. And then about 8.5 seconds to the good of Brendan Ross, we've got Andy Simpson, who on those hard tyres we will assume doesn't have to pit. So it's going to be a question of if the soft compound tyres are going to be fast enough for Rossi to not only make back an 8-second lap in about 5 or 6 laps, but also to make the pass, because as we all know, it's not just about catching the car in front of you, it's about making the move. Although it looks like Rossi is catching him quite quickly, as it appears that we've had Ed Williams in the pits again. So, bit of a disaster for Ed there. Now we've got Lewis, who's on a bit of a flyer again. He's set himself a purple first sector of a 28.1. So we're at that point of the race, as I said, that we're starting to see something resembling qualifying times out of the guys now. Lewis absolutely monstering the back of the FCR McLaren. Not quite enough room to make a dive there for him, but you have to feel with Lewis Wedding at the wheel that it's only a matter of time before he finds somewhere to make a move. As he looks to the inside, just tries to fill the mirrors there of young Rossi, forces him to make a little bit of a lock-up coming into 15, as Rossi runs a little bit wide coming out of 16. It's given Lewis DRS, he's given him the run, and he's given him the inside line as Lewis sets the fastest lap of the race at a 25.1. Now, if I was Rossi here, I'd be trying to latch onto the back of Lewis, because Lewis probably does have the pace to catch Andy Simpson. So, and you have to feel that if he can catch him, he's going to be a good chance to get him around him as well. Albert Park, traditionally, a couple of good passing spots on the track. We've got a little bit of a chance at turn 1. We've got a huge opportunity to pass down at turn 3, and then we also have down at 9 and 10 where you can potentially make a move if you get a good run out of 6, 7 and 8. So the gap currently sitting at about 5.1 seconds. So it looks like at this point we still have 8 runners according to the timing. Let's see if we can do a little bit of a late race recap before everything gets hectic again. So as mentioned, Andy Simpson in first place, but the gap is dropping very, very quickly to the tune of at least a second a lap, if not more. Andy is running a 128.5 that lap. Lewis has run a 125.4 that lap, so he's 3 seconds faster. You have to feel that before long Lewis is going to be under the gearbox of Andy Simpson, and with that much of a speed differential, he's not going to put up too much resistance. We've got Brendan Ross in third place. Rossi will be happy with a podium, I feel, but hey, if they're catching Andy Simpson that quickly, why not give it a go at getting past? We've got Matt Williams in fourth place. Still a fair bit behind the lead at the moment. He's about 11 seconds behind first place. 5 seconds adrift of Brendan Ross. We've got Ed Williams in fifth. I think we may have had a timing glitch at some point because it appeared that he was down a lap before, but nice little battle happening here between himself and Oz Rob. As Oz Rob looks up the inside, great pass there from Rob using the better run. But Williams back around the outside, they've touched! Everybody seems to be okay though, and Williams is back in front of Oz Rob. This is looking like it's going to be a very, very heated battle if that's the way we're going to play it. Rob just getting the better run around the outside coming out of turn 3 there. Williams goes defensive. Does that sacrifice his run out of the corner? Looks like it may have a little bit, plus Rob's got the draft, as it appears that my game has crashed. Alright, let's try and get us back into the game as quickly as we can. Definitely not a good sign. I apologise there to my viewers. Hopefully my game doesn't take too long to heat up. Let's see if I can describe the action that I can still watch via live races. So it appears that we've got Lewis Wedding has actually taken over the lead from Andy Simpson. So Simpson in second place, Rossi in third, who is running much, much faster times than Simpson as well. We've got Matt Williams still in fourth place. Oz Rob has gotten around Ed Williams. So for fifth place, Ed's in sixth. We've got Brock Harvey having a bit of a lonesome race down there in seventh place, and Wayne Whitmore in eighth. So sorry about the crash there, guys. We'll have you back into the action very, very shortly. Here we go. All right. So let's just have a quick flick through, make sure everybody's still on the track. We've got Lewis leading the race with a best lap of a 125.1. Andy Simpson in second place, and we've got Rossi following him in third. It does appear that Rossi is catching Andy Simpson. So with a couple of laps to go, we'll see what we can make of it. Matt Williams has just set his fastest lap of the race with a 126.8. Unfortunately, we seem to have lost the current gaps in timing due to the game crash, but we'll keep an eye on that as much as we can and follow that one on live races. Thanks, Rhodey. Yeah, not something I expected to happen. Technical glitches are never ever fun. So we've got Oz Rob down in fifth. Ed Williams down in sixth place. Looks like Rob managed to get the better of him there. Brock Harvey down in seventh. Wayne Whitmore in eighth is our last runner. Lewis appears to have built his lead fairly quickly. He's up to about a 5-second lead over Andy Simpson. Matt Williams in third. We've lost Rossi. Rossi must have binned it. He's lost the front wing. That brings Matt Williams up into third place. Me and doing my race recaps always misses the action, unfortunately. I think I've given Rossi a bit of a commentator's curse there. I've been singing his praises for about half the race. Now, will Rossi have enough of a gap to hold on to fourth place once he completes his pit stop? He's not going to pit. He's going to try and stay out. But it looks to be a bad move as he hits the wall coming out of the final corner. So closest on track to him is actually Wayne Whitmore, but on track it'll be Oz Rob following behind him. So big gamble here for Rossi to try and stay out with the without a front wing. Again, Oz Rob in 5th. Looks like we've lost Ed Williams as well, who's got no front or rear wings. So it'll be interesting to find out what happened to Ed there. We've got Brock in 7th place. Not sure if Brock will have enough time to pass there, but we'll soon find out. As Rossi is soldiering on, he's staying out there with no front wing. That car must be an absolute pig to drive. But with only a couple of laps to go, we'll have to see if this gamble will pay off as he comes very, very close to the wall there. This section down the back of the track with the very, very fast left to right chicane will be a huge challenge there in the car without a front wing. That corner tends to be hard enough when your car's intact. As he's run a little bit wide, a little bit of a lock-up, definitely seeing evidence of that car being very, very difficult to drive at this point. Let's just check in. It appears that Matt Williams still in 3rd place. Now, I'm not sure. Okay, so my lap counter has actually decided that it's not going to work, and everyone has actually finished the race. So we've got Lewis Wedding as our winner, with Andy Simpson in 2nd place and Matt Williams in 3rd. Now, I'm expecting a good burnout here from Matt Williams. He and I are something that he and I practiced at great length, and I did promise him that I would get it on the broadcast. Nice little bit of circle work there. And here's Rossi to join. We've got Lewis Wedding throwing some nice hoops as well. And it does appear that Rossi did manage to hold on to his 4th place. So great job there from Rossi holding on to that after binning it and losing his front wing. Knowing Matt Williams, I would say his engine has just blown up. So we'll watch the last of Rossi's burnouts, and then we'll have a bit of a recap and maybe see if we can have a chat to a couple of our drivers. So just to confirm, although my game is showing everyone as DNF, that is definitely not the case. We have Lewis Wedding as our winner. Andy Simpson in 2nd place, unfortunately just wasn't quite able to hold on those hard compound tyres. Matt Williams with a great recovery for 3rd. Brennan Ross in 4th. Oz Rob in 5th. Brock Harvey in 6th. Wayne Whitmore is our final finisher in 7th place. Seems to be that we're missing someone there as well, but we can work all of that out later. Alright guys, so I've actually been joined by our 3rd place finisher this evening, which would be Scruff. Scruff, tell me about your race.
I was shit before the first real pit stop. I got a fair bit of luck at the end and a bit disappointed because I think we could have done a lot more.
That's a fair effort. Now there was a little bit of a scuffle there between about 4 or 5 cars that I actually just missed on the broadcast. Can you tell me about what happened there?
I have the joy of using the pit board with my hard plug-in, and that covers my right-hand mirror, as it turns out, in these cars. So we're going down to turn 3, and I had no idea I had Simpson on the inside till his car was actually properly next to me, and then I was trying to pass Lewis while not moving off the line, so it didn't really go too well. I tapped the back of Lewis and wasn't best pleased with myself there, but
understandable, but a good recovery afterwards. Tomorrow's headlines: Scruff causes multiple car pile up in the Australian GP.
Yep, 100%. Did it on purpose.
Alright, so we don't appear to have our 2nd place finisher with us, unfortunately, but we do have our winner this evening, which is Lewis Wedding. Lewis, looks like your strategy played out in the end.
Yeah, well, it did in the end, but for a little while it was looking like it might not have come off. Obviously, the safety car is probably a bit to our detriment. Obviously, Cost both myself and Ed. Obviously, Ed getting the penalty because we weren't told that the race was going green, so we had no notifications that it was going green. Just the safety cars coming in, and didn't get the green. Accelerated too early. Ed got the penalty straight up, and then I made a mistake on the lap after because it said that the start didn't count, and I had to get back behind Ed, and obviously because everybody was sort of racing at that point, it dropped me down a couple of spots, and then obviously with my worn tyres and everyone that's on freshies, dropped further. But yeah, after I pitted at the right time, which is about when I was going to pit anyway, I kept the strategy and put the softs on, and that it just made obviously the car come alive, and it was really good fun pushing at the end, getting some overtakes in, and it was good fun.
Yeah, you set the fastest lap of the race as well in that stint as well. So it appears to be a case of Automobilista strikes again. I did actually notice that on the broadcast. There was no real indication or anything like that the race was going green. I was sort of recapping where everybody was, and all of a sudden everybody's going, and Ed had a penalty.
Yeah, it was just completely random. I mean, Ed was sort of just talking amongst ourselves. All of a sudden, the safety car pulls in, and we're both like, "What the hell's going on?" And obviously, Ed even more so because he's. I don't think it's been a long time since his race with the safety car turned on. So we're both sort of confused. Through our races, sort of a bit of disrepair. Unfortunately for Ed, it cost him really badly because I think if he hadn't have had that drive through and had it just been a normal restart, he would have been in a really good position to finish on the podium. So it's a bit of a shame for him, but everything after that, on my point of view, was a bit of fun.
Yeah, definitely. We've actually got Ed here as well. So tell us about how you felt about all of the penalty and everything like that, Ed.
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of positives to take from that race. I was pretty happy with the car, my driving, etc. Until I just didn't, I was just kind of got caught up in the confusion and assumed because the safety car was coming in, it's just, gun it time. So I did. And then the game's like, nah, you got to drive through, mate. And then the next lap was even still technically under caution. So I don't really know what was going on with that one. And yeah, I mean, that issue putting me in the back, and then I was pushing a lot harder than I needed to be, causing some other errors. And then end of the race, I just ran wide and made an unforced error while trying to catch.
Yeah, it definitely did appear that all the confusion and the penalty and everything may have put you off a little bit, but you salvaged a decent result in the end, which is what matters.
Yeah, I mean, 4 points is better than no points.
Definitely.
It's like I said, there's still a lot of positives to take away from that, but just got to note the things that went wrong and try not to do them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, congratulations on the good parts of the race, and hopefully better luck next round. Now, in lieu of not having our second place driver, what I might actually do is grab Rossi for a quick chat. Rossi, you there?
I'm here.
Okay, so what happened to your front wing at the end of the race there, mate?
Unforced error trying to catch Andy into I think it's the right corner, just broke too late and spun it at the wall, so disappointing, but things like that happen.
You were definitely running a good race up until that point. I think I'm actually going to claim responsibility. I had been singing your praises a little bit on the broadcast, so I'm thinking it's probably a case of commentator's curse. So, as a member of FCR Motorsport, I think I'm just going to shut up about you next week.
I'll be happy to have that because there's plenty of commentators' curse gets me.
Alrighty, guys. So that about wraps it up for us here at Automobilista Australia at Albert Park. I hope you all enjoyed the race. Definitely chaotic, definitely plenty of action, and hopefully we'll see you all again in a fortnight's time. Thank you, guys, and good night.